Hey gamers, today we're going to look at It Happens. Let's check it out. Setup for the game is extremely simple. What you do is each player will start with 5 die of their color. They're also going to have 2 worm tokens. Worm tokens will let you re-roll your die at any time during the game. They also count for 1 victory point, any left over at the end of the game. You're going to shuffle through all these tiles in the deck and then deal out 3 for each round. There are 4 rounds in each game because you're going to go through all the tiles there. You're going to look and see the queen ant and the worker ant numbers here and match it with the tokens in the supply there. You're going to have a supply of extra worms, extra trash tokens that you can collect in the game, and of course these king and queen tokens over the side to be dealt out later on during the next round. And what you're going to do is very simple. Everyone's going to roll their die, and then starting with the first player and moving around the game, they're each going to start placing their die in the leftmost section of the board here. So for instance, let's say I got a 2, I would move it all the way to the left right here, and it looks like I got a stereo system. So I would find a stereo system icon in the pile there, and I would keep this. This could be used for in-game points. So the next player would go, and let's say they went here. Now if green goes here, the next dice that the green player plays over here, even though let's say blue went here, red went here, and so on and so forth, well therefore next time when it's green's turn, green will move to the next top level that it's matching there. So red couldn't move here, blue couldn't move here, red can move up there, and so on and so forth. And of course they would get a worm token there. Now everyone would play around like that, and that's basically how the game would go. And then at the end of the round, you're going to see who has the most points on each one of these. So for instance, let's say this is what it looked like at the end of the game, even though it had way more dice on it. You'd see, okay, who had the biggest amount of pip value? Well, that would be black. Well, they get the queen token, so they'll get 5 points. And then who had the second most? So that'd be yellow with 2, so they'll get this one. And then you'll do that for each one of these tiles. Also, as you see, there is a little number with a worm on it. If your number total on each of these anthills match the number on the worm, you'll get a bonus worm tile. So for instance, the number here is 2, green has 1, 2. Also red, black, and black also have just 2s on there. Blue does not. So everyone would get a worm token but blue. Over here, only yellow would get a worm tokens there. The only one that has a 2 there, value. For this one, it's a 3, and it looks like these 2 are the only ones. Now remember, I'm not saying, oh, well, they have a 3 too. No, it doesn't matter. It has to add up. The hill has to add up to 3, so blue would be disqualified in that case. And only yellow would get a worm token. And again, worm tokens, you can spend them and then re-roll any of your remaining die. Maybe you're trying to get a higher pip value. Maybe you're trying to match a value to get another worm, even though I doubt you do that. Mainly do it for higher pip value to try to win one of these queen ants here. I forgot to mention for in-game points here, when you have all these trash items, whoever has the most variety would get 10 points. After that, whoever has 2 or more of the same item will get victory points. So for instance, none of these, I may have the most variety, so I get 10 points, but I couldn't count any of those up. I can only count these 2 bones, which would count for 10 points. Now if I had another one, it would count for 15, and so on and so forth. So that's the only way you're going to get points in the game, to have the biggest variety of everyone, or by having more than one of these items. Basically, you do that for 4 rounds, and whoever has the most points at the end of the game wins. Final thoughts, what do I think about the game? Well, as you know, I love Queen games. I do. I can't get away from them. And this one's by Stefan Feld, and of course a lot of people like Stefan Feld. I like about half of his games. This is a kid's game, I will say, a family game. My wife really enjoys this game. She saw this one, she went, that's a game for me. She just knew it immediately off the cover. I said, this is not a vintage game, this is an older game, but she just knew that she was going to like this game, and she did. It's a fun game. One of the big mistakes people make is they try to keep the worm tokens, because they think, oh, it's worth 1 victory point. But to be honest, you need to be rolling, especially if you have low die. You need to roll those die. I remember, even me, I was keeping all my worms for a while. Someone had some 2s and 3s, and they just re-rolled. They had 5s and 6s, and they won some of the big ants that they would not have gotten. That's big points there to get. And so that does make a difference. So you do want to roll, or re-roll some of your die there, and worms should be used. But I think people think, oh, 1 extra victory point at the end, I'll keep it, when it can really cost them like 8 or 9 victory points in the long run. But either way, this is a good game. It's lighter than Stefan Feld's Rum and Pirates game, but it's a fun, light dice game if it's for kids or for families. I can recommend this. If you're a Feld fan, you probably want to steer clear because it's not, as deep as you probably would like Feld. But either way, it's a fun game, and it's a queen game, which I'm biased, I love. All right, gamers, that's all the time for now. Until next time, you know what to do. Game on!